Hey y'all, okay, this is Delaina Burns and I'm with you for Live with Prima. I had a little mishap on Ustream earlier. Somehow my video did not stay recorded, so I wanted to do it again. This is National Scrapbook Day, so I wanted to be sure that we got the recording of my project up on YouTube. So I'm going to do this one more time. It's a pretty fast project and want to get it on YouTube for you, so just wanted to share with you first. I'm using one of Prima's brand new beautiful stencils. This number is 586874. This is called Family Love, and it's just a really cool stencil that Prima has done. I think they've released 6 of them, I think, in total recently. So anyway, helps you with all of your wall decor pieces and that kind of stuff. So just moving on, I want to go ahead and get this started really quick, and I just wanted to show you the project first. I framed it. This is just a flat back canvas. You can see just a flat back canvas. You can use one of the Prima watercolor panels or one of the IOD plaques if you like. I wanted to frame it in this kind of flat frame, so I'm using this flat canvas. But you can use anything that you like, anything you have on hand. Had a question during the show that I can go ahead and answer now. You might be able to, or you will be able to even use maybe a piece of white cardstock, back that with some cardboard, and frame that as well. It would work the same as these other things, just whatever makes it easier for you. If you want to do it for Mother's Day, which is pretty fast because that's tomorrow, you can even use the white cardstock. So we're going to start off with some heavy white gesso, and I'm first going to create a technique on my background. So I'm just using a kind of damp Finnebear paintbrush, and you can use a round stencil brush or just any kind of brush will do. You want to scoop out some and kind of place it around your canvas. You don't want it super thick, but you want a good covering, because we're going to kind of stipple it with our brush to make those little crevices and little peaks to create that background. And it takes just a minute to get that on there, so just continue to move it around, pouncing your brush. I'm going to dry this for time purposes with my heat tool, but it works best to just let it air dry. You will get higher peaks and a better texture if you've just allowed it to actually air dry. So, but anyway, like I said, for the program, since I am on a little time, you don't want to wait for me to have this air dry. You don't want to hear my southern accent that long, so I will move on. But I'm just stippling it on. You see I'm being pretty messy and pretty generous with and be really generous. If you are going to actually heat dry it, you'll want to add a little extra. You can get away with not a lot. Either way, it's not a lot. So I'll just say that it's not going to be a lot. Just get it on there. You don't want it so textured that your canvas won't lay flat. So just be careful not to get it too textured. This is it's going to be textured, but it's just not going to be real. It's not going to be real high. I want to keep it pretty flat to the surface. So I'm just kind of flattening that out, being sure that I don't have too high of peaks, because the whole idea is I don't want my canvas to not meet my stencil, or my stencil to not meet my canvas. I want it to lay pretty flat when I get it on there. So got that. I'm just going to put my brush in the water so I can clean that later. That's all we need the gesso for, if I can get the top on correctly. Grab my heat tool and let's dry this up. It's going to take just a minute to dry. So it's National Scrapbook Day, and I know that there's probably a live show going on as I'm recording. We have activity all over on all of our social media. And lots of excitement today. It's National Scrapbook Day. National International Scrapbook Day, we're saying, because wherever you are in the world, we want you to celebrate National Scrapbook Day with us. Lots of prizes and lots of activity going on. So this is going to take just a minute to dry. Just keep drying. Just want to touch it every once in a while to see where we are. And you can see, I don't know how well you can see the texture. I'm going to try to pick it up, but can you see that texture? See that texture on there? I hope we're not too dark. I'm getting some shadowing. My light's moving. The sun is changing directions the later in the day it gets, and so I had my light sets for this morning, and my sun in my workroom is a little different in the afternoon versus morning. I'm sure your house is the same way. I have lots of windows in my craft room. I probably have 9 windows in here, one entire wall, and then a few on another wall. So I am pretty much surrounded by natural light, and sometimes that can, see, I just got that, be careful not to pounce too much with your hand. I just pulled a lot of that off on my fingers, but I still got texture there. It didn't take all my texture away. So can you see that texture? This is something usually I like to do maybe the night before and just have it dry when I'm ready. When I'm ready to get started. Okay, I think that's got it. Okay, that's that with that technique. So that's it. Let's clean up our mat. I'm going to keep it pretty clean so you can kind of see what I'm doing, since I'm having to use white. Just get all that off. A wet white would have probably done better than the paper towel, but that's good enough right there. Okay, what I'm going to do now is lay my stencil down, line it up. You want to get it pretty even. Then I'm going to take some modeling paste, some of Prima's modeling paste, and I'm going to grab my my brush, my silicone brush. I'm sorry, I'm losing my words. I couldn't think of the word silicone. I'm going to grab my silicone spatula, brush, whatever you want to call it. I just want to be sure that never ends is pretty straight across the bottom there. And the first thing I'm going to do is give a really good coat of the modeling paste. So just start at the top here, adding your modeling paste. Keep your stencil very still. You don't want this to bleed under. So just keep your stencil really still, dragging your modeling paste down. Just, if I go quiet, I'm concentrating. When you're working, do you think sometimes you have to hold your mouth a certain way, or I don't know, we get so in the zone when we're creating that I feel like sometimes I like totally zone out with what's going on in the rest of the room or the rest of my house or whatever. I just get engulfed in thought on my project. So bear with me if I get a little quiet. I'm just working. And I hope everyone, if you're watching this on record, I hope you were able to participate in National Scrapbook Day. Lots of activities and things going on. And I moved my stencil just a little bit right there. My stencil bent up just a little bit, so I may have to kind of doctor that up just a little bit in a minute. When you've got all these little areas here to cover, you just want to be sure you don't shift your stencil. And I want to get a pretty good bit of modeling paste on here. I'm putting this on pretty thick. I'm just going back over it to be sure I got all my little crevices. Just be really careful that you don't shift your... And I'm going to go back up this way because right there at my Y, it's bending just a little. and using these and washing these and all that activity, sometimes you might bend them, or but just kind of, you can put them right back in place. That'll work. If you hear my dog bark, I'm sorry. He's begging me to let him out right this minute, but he's going to have to wait. We are videoing right now, mister. Okay, so I'm just going to give it a really quick run over to be sure that I got everything. Everything's covered, just quickly. Okay, now I'm worried about this Y, so we'll check this Y once I get it pulled up. See how that worked out. I want to get this pretty clean right here. So, okay. Let's see what we got. Okay, there you go. That is a perfect coverage. So we want to lay that to the side. Since I'm going to move right on, I want to go ahead and get my stencil cleaned. Let's put our well, I don't know what to do with this brush. Let's put this silicone brush out of the way. Okay, what I'm going to do is lay this to the side so I don't ruin it. We're doing good. I don't want to mess it up. So let's put it up here. And I want to grab a couple of wipes and clean off my stencil because we are fixing to use it again. Fixing to. Do you always say fixing to? Is that a southern thing? I think it is. I think it was pointed out to me that fixing may not be a term that others use, but here in the South, I use it. We use it all the time. We are fixing to do lots of stuff. So let's get this cleaned up. Now I'm just going to use a dry washcloth, now that I got some of it off, and just wipe this off. I want to be careful around my Y there because that's already bent just a little bit, so I just want to kind of lay that back down. Let's get the rest of this off. Look, we've transposed it onto the mat there too, so let's just get as much of this off as we can because I am going to use it again. I'm wiping the back just a little bit. I don't want to transfer anything. So, and it's okay if it's not perfectly clean. I'll go back in. I use a little green scrubby that I buy for my kitchen on these, and just kind of scrub them to get them clean later if something's dried on there that needs to be removed. So we've got that cleaned off enough. Now I want to grab my heat tool and let's give our modeling paste a good dry. Can you see that? And I got it pretty thick on there. Can you see? And I'll show you when I start adding the color. The reason it needs to be pretty thick, we're going to be using some of the acrylic paint, and even inks have a tendency to kind of run under the stencil and kind of smear up under the stencil. So we're going to try to prevent that from happening. So just bear with me in the coloring process because we're going to get it colored, and then we are going to add a little glitter, a couple of butterflies, and this will be finished. This is a very quick and easy project to do. You could certainly do this by day's end for Mother's Day. And again, I apologize for the problem with Ustream. I actually watched part of it back. It was there, and then all of a sudden Sharon did her show and we looked back and mine was gone. So I don't know, sometimes it's a technical foul, but we can fix that. We can take care of that by just redoing this. So thank goodness this was an easy one, and I still have all the products to do it with. So, and please, if you do duplicate this or you use the idea, share with us on Live with Prima. I love it when I teach something and others try it. Very satisfying to know that something you've shown someone, they go back and do. So I love that process. That's what we do this for. That's why we have all this social media, so we can all share our ideas and teach one another. I learned so much from you as well. It's funny, you probably don't think that we learn from you after doing these shows, but I learn just as much online from you as you learn from me. So that's the happy part about being a scrapper. One big happy scrappy family. Okay, I think that's pretty dry. I'm gonna let that cool just a minute. It's pretty hot, so I'm gonna let that cool down just a minute. What I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna go in with my small silicone brush, and I'm going to use Pure Sunshine, the metallic Pure Sunshine. It's the acrylic paint, the Alchemy Thin Bear paint. I'm using the metallic Wild Fuchsia and metallic Lime Peel. All three colors I'm going to be using on this. So I just want to take the tops off. Okay. Let's get all three of these in the camera there so you can kind of see. Okay, I'm already getting paint on me. Okay, my board's warping just a little bit, so I'm going to give it a quick bend, because sometimes when it gets hot it bends a little bit in the middle, and I want to make sure it's really nice and flat when I do this technique so that it does not bleed. So kind of like so. Let's just be sure it's nice and flat. Okay, what I'm going to do now is go back in and line my stencil back up with what I did. Line it back up, and I've still got a little bit of problem with this Y wanting to be bent, so just going to bend that back. Just kind of be careful when you wash your stencils and how you handle them, because it's really easy to bend those little pieces. Okay, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take more modeling paste, and I'm going to add just a little paint this time. Let's grab a brush. My brushes are wet. I haven't washed them all yet, so grab a brush. And I'm going to start off with a little modeling paste on top first. Just kind of drag a little modeling paste kind of in this top area so that we don't start off with a paint smear. So just kind of add it there. Be kind of light-handed with this. You don't want to be real heavy-handed. So I'm going to start off with just a few drops of the fuchsia. I don't want it real thick. I don't want it real runny. I just want a little bit, kind of like so. And what I'm going to do is kind of get it mixed into the actual modeling paste so that you don't have the runny paint. And then just be real careful and hold your stencil down and just drag your brush down. Drag your brush down. Sorry about that. That is my cell phone. My husband's trying to call me, it looks like. Okay, I'm just dragging the brush down so you can see I'm dragging that pink color through. Just being really careful not to get it real liquidy. A little more careful than I even was on my original show. I just don't want a lot of liquid, because that's going to seep under your stencil. So just drag it down with the modeling paste. And I am going to move this color around. Okay, just pick that up. Let's mix that in a little bit over here and just continue to drag it down. Just be careful not to have it real liquidy. The liquid is what seeps under. You want to keep it mixed with the modeling paste. And I think it's going to work a little better, especially with me trying to do this on camera, to do these one color at a time. I think I'd attempted before, and I did on my original project. I just used all the colors at once, but I think it's going to work better if I do one color at a time. So I want to be sure I'm getting this pink everywhere I want it. And I'm just kind of looking around and deciding where I might want the pink. Need a little more down here with our never ends. And this is also a process that if it does seep out or it leaks where you don't want it, I'm going to wipe off my brush. These silicone brushes are fabulous. You can just wipe them clean with even something dry like this paper towel. Wipe that clean. Now I want to go in. I'm going to get the pink paint off my brush as much as I can. And I just want to dip into my green paint, and just in a few places where I can mix it ahead with the modeling paste. And you might even, to be certain you don't have the liquid to seep under, you could even mix this separately. You could mix this on the side of your table, or even here where I'm putting it on the stencil, so that it does not seep under, so that it's not so liquidy that it seeps under. So just be sure. And then again, you're just going to drag it through. Just drag it through. These are really bright colors, but because I'm mixing it with the modeling paste, they'll end up being a little more, pastel looking in person. So and that's okay. You could continue to layer this. If you wanted it darker, you could continue to layer it. I'm okay with it being a little more pastel. And then I've got another little place here. I just want to kind of mix this. And I am contaminating my modeling paste a little bit, but I'll go back and fix that. We're going to add a layer of glitter on this as well. So let's get a little more green paint, and I'll kind of show you. I'm going to mix some right here. Just take some of your paint out if you're more comfortable doing this. And let's just grab some of that paint and mix it. Just kind of mix it with the modeling paste, kind of like that. And you could make you 3 little piles of this. You could always do your stenciling and then go back with a sponge and add your color on top of your stenciling. That would be a way to get this colored as well. I just want to keep mixing that green in. It does take just a minute to get all your color on. And I want to have a little bit of these colors all around. Just want to kind of have them mingled and mixed in. A lot of my foliage here on the sides, I want to have that green color on. Still got the yellow to use, and it will do a little blending when we use it. Going to add some purple by adding some purple glitter. So that'll be another color that we've used as well. Okay. Let's just clean some of this off to kind of see what we got. Okay, next we're going to clean our brush off just a little bit, and I'm not really leaving it in the paint, so I'm not contaminating it so much. And I'm going to do that too. I'm going to mix a little bit of the yellow right up here on the side. Just going to pull a little bit of color into the modeling paste. Just pull that color in. Can you kind of see? Just kind of mix that up kind of on the side here. You want it to be pretty thick. Okay, then we're going to just kind of add that onto what we already have. And each one's going to be a little bit different. Doesn't really bother me that one never turns out exactly the same as the other. That's sort of the beauty of an art piece like this, because if you make a few of them and share them with people, there's never one the same. So you don't have to worry about, I already made that for somebody, because everyone is going to be different. So I'm going to grab some of the green over here too and just fill in where I still see white. And if you do have a little white showing, that's totally fine as well. Okay, I want to go back now that I've got the yellow and the green so prominent. Wipe my brush off just a little. I want to grab some more pink. And let's do that pink the same way. Let's add a little pink here to the side with a little modeling paste. And let's see. I feel like I'm a little hurried with this. You take your time when you're working with this so that you don't get those bleeds, because you need to be pretty soft-handed and take your time, because I had no problem with that first one I did, but I took a lot of time to be careful and not rush myself. So I just want to add a little more pink, so just in a few spots go back over and add some pink. It gets a little confusing when you get so many colors on here. You're like, wait a minute, what have I got? What have I got going on here? But when you pull it up, it's beautiful. Just multicolored and beautiful. So just keep kind of blending it in. And like I said, you can go back with a stencil brush or a sponge and add more of the color that you want, or if you've got too much white or whatever the problem might be, you can always go back and fix that. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it right about there like that. Maybe go over this Y. I'm just a little worried about that Y because it was sort of coming up. So let's see. I'm going to kind of hold my breath till I see, because I want it to be bleedless. And then voila, no bleeds. Yay! I'm so excited. Yay, 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 yay. Okay, we're going to lay this to the side. Lay our spatula to the side. Let's clean our mess up a little bit, because you want that to dry just for a second. And then we are going to add some beautiful glitter. And it could be, you could add the glitter with it just wet, just like it is now. But I want it tacky enough that I can still use my heat tool to dry it a little bit, and the glitter not just blow off of it. So let it, just about the time that it's taking me to wipe up my table here is about all the time, about all the dry time it needs. And you can see, I just realized, do you see I have a few bleeds right here? That's where I either touch too close to the inside with my wet paint. You see how that's just paint? It's just so much better when it's mixed with just the modeling paste. So I would suggest that you do all your mixing on the side. It's a little bit faster process. I did take a long time to do it before, but what I can do to fix those, after I get my glitter added and the project totally finished, I can go in there with a little skinny brush, a little skinny paintbrush, and add some gesso in a few layers, and that will totally clean that up and cover that up. So I'm not worried about that being like that, since it's just in those few little places right there. You kind of see, and that is pure liquid. That is because it was more liquid than it was modeling paste. So just mix that with your modeling paste, and that should solve the problem. I'm very sorry about that. Should have realized that before the show, but you know, you get these ideas and you're excited about them and you want to do them, and voila, a mess can be made. So, but anyway, it looks really pretty. That little mess there does not bother me. That'll be really easy to clean up and fix. Okay, we're going to use some glitter now. I've got this glitter set that is called Luminous, and I want the purple and the white and the pink. Well, yeah, I want the purple, the white, and the pink. I don't want to add a lot of colors to this. What I'm going to do first is add some purple, because purple was a color we didn't use, but it's in the pastel family, and I like to mix it. So just in a few areas, I'm going to sprinkle the purple glitter. Just in a few areas. Not a lot, just sprinkle a little. Then I want to take the pink. Let's put the top back on that. Take the pink and let's add a little pink. I want the entire thing to be glittered, so I'm going to add a good bit of glitter. We're going to add the pink and the purple for our color, and then I'm going to go back with the white and just kind of glitter it all up. So the pieces that we missed with the two colors, let's add a little more purple right in here, maybe right here, maybe right here. They'll just kind of mix. Let's add a little pink up here. We just want it glitter, 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 glitter. Beautiful, shiny glitter. Okay, then we're going to go back in and add some white. Now you can pour this out in a bag and save this and have these three colors mixed if you don't like to waste your glitter. For the show today, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to kind of get rid of it so you can see the end process. But you can kind of see. And for the show's sake too, for the class time, I'm not going to dry this. But you do know that I added a few butterflies. I don't have a lot of color on my R right here, so I am going to go in with some purple right there. So we'll add a little bit more up here to kind of even that out. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is just take my paper towels and I will show you what happens with this fabulous glitter. Okay, just going to kind of tap that off. Turn that upside down and just kind of tap it off. Okay, you see? Oh my word. You see how pretty that is? And you see how really easy I'm going to go back in and clean that up. But that is it. Is that not fabulous? It is just so pretty. And each one turns out just a little bit different from the other. You see this one. You see this one. Just makes it so pretty. So very pretty. And you're welcome to save all your glitter. This is just a mix of purple and pink and white for another project. So I'm going to kind of just fold that up out of the way. And I will be putting that into a jar. Can't waste. Like that there. And the last thing that I did was just add a few butterflies, which I don't have the packaging on my table anymore. Not sure where they went, but they are the brand new butterflies from Prima. They did a little package for, they're perfect for planners and scrapbook pages and just anything. But you can see they're just little tiny doubled layered butterflies with a little bling in the center. So I just kind of like they're doing the drawing. I kind of put them in the direction as if they're flying and kind of drawing that script out was sort of my idea. I also framed it in my own frame. I painted this one and decoed it out a little bit, but Prima has got beautiful frames coming. They have gorgeous white frames and also a rustic style frame to choose from in 12 by 12 and 8.5 by 11. This is an 8.5 by 11, and I will just continue to tap this until all the excess glitter has come off around the edges. And once it's completely dried, I can go in with a fan brush and just brush away that glitter that's in the background that's not directly on the actual image. So that is it. Thank y'all so much for joining me. So sorry about the record on the first show, but this will be on YouTube, and if you give it a try, please give me a holler over on Live with Prima. Y'all, thanks so much, and happy National Scrapbook Day. Y'all have a great day. Bye.